Yeah, no, I've been told I'm like the Robin Hood of the music industry, where you're sort of like stealing from the rich, giving to the poor, stealing from the, high budget RSL pub venues and giving to the starving artist.
Hey, you're listening to Sam and Em Solve the World's Problems.
Wouldn't you know it? Still problems.
Speak for yourself, Sam.
Okay. Today we're speaking to a guest who is involved in so many different aspects of the music industry, from booking gigs to playing gigs to live audio mixing to studio mixing.
Yeah, we really appreciated his honesty and his insight into the music industry itself, and also his thoughts on separating art from artist.
Yeah, we loved having this conversation and we're really excited for you to hear it. Please welcome to the podcast, Robbie MacPherson.
Woo!
Hey, Robbie, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast.
Thank
I'm so stoked to have you here.
Thank you for having me along. I'm stoked to be here.
We're really excited about this episode. We're going to be chatting all things sort of music and Australian music industry. But before we do that, we just want to get a sort of glimpse into who you are and what you do, Robbie.
Cool. Well, I am a bassist / audio engineer / booking agent, kind of jack of all trades kind of person. I mostly play bass in a bunch of bands, indie bands, local independent indie bands, and book music for a bunch of venues. I have this thing called Vandita, where I try to bring original music into venues that traditionally don't have live original music in them. So that's the main bulk of what I do as a musician.
You sound like you have just about every job in the music industry.
Yeah.
Like from booking gigs to creating the actual live music itself.
Yeah, I kind of, coming out of school and you're like, okay, what am I going to do with my life? Kind of just, took all of the potential pathways to go down and then shot myself in the foot by creating 700 jobs for myself as a musician, which honestly is pretty hard to juggle, but I guess it's the passion for music that pushes you to keep doing it all and to be able to do it all.
Yeah, absolutely. What was so interesting to me was even now, like we went to the same high school and you were a few grades above me.
Galston represent.
That's it. And even now, so many years later, I will find what I think is a really exclusive indie band online somewhere. They'll have maybe 500 followers or something. And every time I find something that I think is the most exclusive thing, I'll see your name is already following it.
Yeah.
I was like, damn it.
Yeah, and I guess from the the booking and also like blogging side of things that I do with Vandita, I've kind of made it my job to know exactly who is out there and who, what's going on. And like when new bands come out and, they're pushing a particular sound or a particular genre, I need to know like where they're coming from and like who they're influenced by. And it's kind of like, once you go down the rabbit hole and realize how many artists are actually out there, it's like pretty insane to get your head around it all. But I've gone, honestly, so far down the rabbit hole that I'm always like discovering new artists. And then people are like, oh, how do you know these guys? I'm like, I don't know. I just found them. But there's some incredible art out there. Like so many different.
If you weren't aware, listeners, Sam is a music fiend himself. Constantly, I'll send him, messages being like, you need to do this thing for the podcast, and he'll just send me a song in response. That's how he communicates with me. It's great fun.
Yeah. But hey, music, like, a song
I
can
can't
say
complain because it's always
words.
good. Yeah. It's always good music.
That's great.
But yeah,
so good.
you've mentioned Vandita a few times. Can you talk a little bit more about what that is?
Yeah, sorry. Honestly, I'm still trying to work out what it is. So it's the name that I do all of my random things under. So like, it's you could call it a booking agency, or you could call it a blog, or you could call it a live sound production hire company, or or an artist management company. I don't know. It's just it's a multifaceted boutique business, I guess. That I'm still trying to work out how to sort of consolidate everything I do and put a nice little catchy like, hey, this is a thing that I do. But basically I'm just the way I function normally is I'm the middleman between like for example, a pub and then local independent bands who want gigs. So basically, like, yeah, venues that have like a set budget for entertainment that would usually hire a covers band. I'll be like, hey, give me that budget and I'll give you a lineup of original artists that will bring more people than the covers band to your venue and put more money through your bar than the covers band will. And then in doing that, I've like, the venue's happy because they're getting good business, and the independent artists are happy because they've got an opportunity for a gig that they didn't have before then.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've been told I'm like the or Vandita at least is the Robin Hood of the music industry, where you're sort of like stealing from the stealing from the rich, giving to the poor, stealing from the high budget RSL pub venues and giving to the starving artists, but
yeah,
and it's I've kind of found that it's a bit of a niche thing where bands don't see local pubs as a place to perform, where they can, but that's one of my problems that I'll ask you about later.
Okay, let's
okay.
get into that. I'm interested to know as well. Do you think it's a common occurrence? This kind of like, it sounds like you're very much a jack of all trades in the music industry.
Yeah, definitely.
Is that a do you think that's a common kind of skill? Like, do you think people in the music industry are forced to become a jack of all trades in a lot of these areas just by the nature of the industry?
Absolutely. Just by the nature of the ever changing industry, traditional, higher powers that be, like for example, record labels or managers and stuff. These roles are becoming less and less crucial, as moving forward in this, even now with COVID and stuff, this weird modern industry. Local artists are doing more and more of these sort of managerial administrative roles themselves, which is kind of making artists finding out that they have these management skills or booking skills that they traditionally wouldn't need to be using. Now they are using them, and sort of a lot of artists are taking on more work themselves or like independently producing their music because they can't afford to hire a expensive studio. And then so I feel like artists are becoming more and more sort of self-sufficient or able to further their careers independently by being sort of a jack of all trades, if you will. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think? Yeah, I think ultimately there's a lot of positives from that. I mean, what I've heard, the label controls everything.
Yeah, or at least you were, bands would, or artists, whatever, would see as like getting signed is like the goal. It's like the ticket.
You've made it.
It's the ticket to making it. And then now that sort of that goal is kind of shifted, and it's like, no, the goal is making it, and you can do that without a label. That's kind
this
perfectly ties into like our first kind of problem, I guess.
Is it crucial now to becoming successful or becoming well known that you have a label?
And the issue of how do you crack into it?
Yeah, cool. Well, my perspective on that is short answer, no, labels aren't crucial, but what is crucial is some of those services and opportunities that a label would traditionally be offering you. You still need to get those things just from other places. So like again, I wasn't around in the 80s, as I know you guys weren't, but, or the 70s, 60s, whatever. But the, traditional, big record labels, they would do pretty much everything. Like once you've been signed, you get your massive advance, you go and record an album, you go and tour the world, whatever. All of the processes and roles of people in teams and stuff that make all that stuff happen. There's so many more branches of that now, like, for example, booking agents or, publicists or, and then the production side of things. Like, there's all these independent little, services that come together to make an artist successful. And an independent artist can independently engage in the services of all of these different things to find success, but it's not necessarily under the umbrella of a label. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of like where I'm at now, trying to work out how to go about, who to choose to work with in order to, make it. Cause I haven't made it in the traditional sense of, being a household name or whatever, but it's like, but you can, like one of my bands, Locked In Lummo, was sort of an indie rock band. We've been working on music, that has been produced by Ian Burney from Birds of Tokyo. And then through that, he's introduced us to like, this guy can do this. And if, you're booking, you go to this guy, he'll, get you a slot on this opening for these people. And it's like that, we're not signed to anybody, but by engaging in the services of someone else who does something in that field, it's sort of a pathway to getting the things. It gives
you the connections, right? To still do it for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, cause like it's not what you know to, but like it's literally an industry based on connections, and a label was sort of a shortcut to getting those connections. Just like, someone with all that power and all that connections investing it into an artist that they've signed. But now it's more of just, finding those connections organically and using the services and skills of those different branches of, industry things. Yeah. Which is a kind of cool thing, I think, because it puts independent artists all sort of on a level playing field until, one of them, gets picked up, gets album of the week on Triple J or whatever, then they're playing Splendor and then everyone loves them. And it's like, it's sort of the progression from little guy to big guy is now only a couple of steps away, as opposed to like just,
impossible.
Yeah. It sort of makes it achievable in a way.
I guess like it's the technology, like it's almost like, bedroom producers and that kind of thing. Like, like the power's kind of been given back to the individual.
100%. Yeah. No, that's pretty much it. And moving forward, like that's been happening for years now. And I think, COVID has kind of amplified that notion of like, hey, the little guys can do it themselves, because people have discovered that they can produce their own stuff in their bedrooms at the moment and things like that. But, that's also just want to make a point. Not all, like when I'm saying labels here, I think we're talking about like your Sony and your EMI and your big Warner and
enormous
stuff. Yeah, and there are some really cool, like more indie labels that are smaller with a far more like focused stylistic like niche in the industry and those labels can be like so beneficial for smaller bands to get picked up by, like Unified and stuff in Melbourne with like all the heavy bands and stuff. That's just like, if you're a heavy band and you find your place within that family, you're set.
I was going to say, and there must be other awesome like positives to certain labels in that it's kind of like an area of expertise, like what you just said, like heavy bands, like minds can kind of gather with a label like that. And, people who are good at recording heavy music will have all kinds of expertise in that area that can help other upcoming bands.
And it's sort of like when you build that family around it, it's like the connection, it just breeds connection. Like people just, if that's what you want to do, you go and immerse yourself in that family, you're going to find, booking agents and producers and, whatever who want to work with that type of music, which is really cool. And there are similar small indie labels for, electronic music and, indie music, whatever. But yeah, it's really cool. There are some cool labels out there. Not everyone's a big evil, corporation.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
They definitely have a place.
Yeah. I actually wanted to come back to something you said earlier.
Yeah.
You touched on Triple J and, you can kind of skyrocket when Triple J plays your music and all that kind of stuff. I'm interested what you think, like how crucial of a role does Triple J play in the Australian music scene?
So the key word there is Australian music scene.
I was going to say also global, like.
Yeah. So, it's frustrating that they're like, what they do is amazing. And I'm not gonna, talk badly of Triple J, but they do kind of, they're kind of the gatekeeper to Australian, success. A question I often ask people is, name one successful Australian artist of the last 15 years who hasn't been played on Triple J or is at least seen as a big name in Triple J. and then everyone goes, Keith Urban, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like, yeah. And like, you know, the ties that Triple J have with, you know, all of the major Australian, you know, touring festivals and things. It's just so ingrained that you can't avoid the elephant in the room that is Triple J. And it sort of seems, almost disheartening that the majority of the like local indie scene, the goal is to be played on Triple J. Like if you get played on Triple J, it's like, oh yeah, you made it. Oh, great. But yeah, it is interesting that that's not so much, Triple J isn't crucial to success outside of Australia. Like, with Locked In Limo, the band I was talking about before, we, have recently been doing some, it's this mentoring, program started up by a guy from a band called The Lazies, who were a Sydney-based band who, you know, they got played on Triple M a few times, a pretty rock and roll, pretty like, you know, AC/DC, like, yeah, classic rock kind of vibe. Triple J didn't want a bar of it, never did. The Lazies, relocated to Canada and have now had like 4 number 1 singles in Canada and are like currently on the Canadian rock charts. They're like number 4, like ahead of like Kings of Leon and Foo Fighters and stuff. And it's like,
wow.
they're a big name in rock in Canada, and they, you know, tour nationally and, you know, open for huge names. And it's like they, you know, that had absolutely nothing to do with Triple J, but, you know, they're a rock band from Sydney who are now doing really well internationally. You know, they like toured Europe and stuff. And, yeah, it's kind of like they're a good example of like, I think it's important for Australian artists to not see Triple J as the goal or like the gate through which you will find success. It's sort of like, you know, you can open it up and yeah, there's literally a whole world of 8 billion people out there with very different tastes to whatever Triple J is currently pushing. Yeah. But having said that, you know, I obviously listen to Triple J and love it and always have. But yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. It's one of those things where like I think Triple J is one of these huge forces for good.
Also because it's kind of it's made this name for itself in that like the next artist will come out of Triple J. So if you're looking for it, that's where you kind of
done some phenomenal things like that. Like I remember Lord being played on Triple J, like Royals.
Right, yeah. I heard Royals for the first time. Yeah.
So like they do find some good stuff, but again, that just happened to fit what they were looking for at the time.
Yeah.
So you never know what
that is a huge thing with it's almost as if they have like a criteria of like boxes. Let's have our token indie band and our token metal band and our token female solo pop. And then when that's dying up, they just find a new cookie cutter band to fit their, you know, their projected criteria. You know, it's a silly way to look at it, but it sometimes really does feel like that.
Yeah. I remember back in the, like one of my favorite artists of all time, and this will loop back later, but Josh Pyke is one of my like favorite artists
the man
ever.
Yeah.
And
this is a safe Josh Pyke space.
We stand Josh Pyke. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. He like, I mean, I discovered him through Triple J, or my sister did, and then through that I found him. And then, I mean, he would never get a song played on Triple J today. Back then, there were so many acoustic artists. Now, if you heard a song like that on Triple J, you'd be so surprised.
Yeah, no, really. And that's it is because, and it's like, why is that? Is it because, you know, it's kind of the catch-22 of like, is the public's taste shaped by what the station is pushing, or does the station push what people's taste is dictating? Like it's kind of one
that's
influences
a whole
the
conversation.
other. Yeah. No, very, very interesting.
Which do you, just out of curiosity, which do you think it is?
I honestly think the public's taste is shaped by what Triple J pushes.
Fair enough.
And then don't want to get too like conspiracy theorist on you, but like maybe that's because of whatever band's schedule worked out to book for the next upcoming festival. They're the ones that they want to push so that everyone likes that band, so they'll buy tickets to go to the festival that's supported by Triple J.
Ooh.
Capitalism. Damn it.
Like,
but the thing is, though, I mean, theoretically, like Triple J is a government organization. Like they don't have funding requirement. Like, do they get money from festivals?
Or like they have a partnership with the festival, so like it's like it goes both ways. I don't think it's either like
they need their brand out there.
Exactly, yeah. Like, you know, Splendor in the Grass, and then that's why for that week in July, Triple J is 100% Splendor.
Yeah,
Here's
yeah.
a live set from Splendor, live at the Violet. Splendor.
But also, at the end of all this, we love Triple J. Like, they do
Yeah.
great work. This isn't a hate.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
so many of my friends work for Triple J, work at
Yeah.
Triple J. It's a good thing. And
Yeah.
I'm glad we have it. And can the government not defund ABC, please? That'd be great.
Please.
Thank you. Yeah.
We have a few listener questions to ask you that are kind of
Ooh.
unrelated to this topic, but I'm going to
That's
bring them up
cool.
anyway.
I'm happy to answer any question.
Okay. How do you stay creative during a pandemic, but also how do you stay inspired? Like, there's obviously nothing to do right now, as in live music wise. What do you do?
Honestly, it has been really hard for me and many others. It's frustrating because normally we it's always a juggling act between, you know, your gigs and your recording, and you're always trying to perform but at the same time create in your downtime. And the one thing holding back new creation is not having enough downtime. And then ironically, now that we have all this downtime, the drive's just not there anymore. And it's sort of like, it's frustrating having the time to create, but not being in the headspace to create, because we're so weighed down by how much it sucks that everything's stopped, you know? But my personal way of trying to stay creative in this time, I have been brushing up on my studio production skills, because I do most of the audio work that I do is live stuff in venues. And yeah, now I've been sort of like working on recording stuff, which, you know, they're obviously a similar skill, but no, it's a more creative approach to the audio side of things. So I've been dabbling in a little bit of production, and you know, I might drop a Flume-esque thing later on in the year. I don't know.
Yeah.
Nice.
You heard it here first,
Let us
folks.
know when you do, and we'll plug it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
nice.
So that, I've been trying to work on different skills in the downtime, which, you know, I'll admit I'm very lucky to have the opportunity to be able to do that. But it's that's how I've been trying to stay creative during a pandemic.
Fair enough. Our second question from the listeners, well, a listener, is how do we fix sexism in the industry? I don't know if you
Ooh.
have a perspective on that.
Yeah, how do we fix it? Well, the way I'm trying to fix it is hold everybody accountable for terrible actions, and just proactively. So it's a touchy area, obviously, but with things like you know, like back to Triple J, you know, the Girls to the Front movement and stuff like that, where it's like, you know, focusing on women in music and stuff. That sort of stuff that's like sort of positive, what's the word? Positive discrimination? What is it, where you like actively give a leg up to, yeah. But it's positive discrimination, right? Yeah, yeah. No, I feel like there's a lot of backlash to that sometimes, and I think that's a bit silly. I think it really is cool that we do have things focusing on, you know, oppressed minorities, or like, you know, it goes the same way with like, you know, Indigenous Music Week and stuff like that. But you know, for fixing sexism in the industry, definitely just don't be complacent. Don't allow bad behavior to just sort of slide. Like, we need to just, you know, if something isn't okay, like really put your foot down, like, whoa, like this isn't okay. Let's not do this. Let's, you know, really just try and enforce the values that I'm sure we both hold on, you know, sexism in general, but just apply that to the way we conduct ourselves in the music industry.
Look for it, because it can be so easy to not see it. So look for it, point it out.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, like I see it firsthand in like sexism, that is, in even just the small scale, you know, live shows that I play. Like, 3 of the bands I play in, have female members, and it's, the classic scenario. We walk into a venue and the sound guy's like, "Oh, hey guys," like comes up and shakes everybody's hand, ignores the front woman of the band, assumes she's a girlfriend of the guitarist or something. And it's like, oh, you're in the band. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. And it's like, and then just,
again,
do you need me to adjust that amp for you? Like, do you know how this amp works? And it's like, dude, she's a guitarist. She know it's her amp. Like, what? Yeah.
Oh my God, I love those guys.
I know. When those two talk to that person about that thing.
Specifically that one.
It was so good. I loved it.
Look, we're just here interrupting to tell you to please share this with some friends.
Yeah, if you could just tell 3 friends about this podcast, that would mean the world to us. Alternatively, you could post about us on your social media. That would also be very helpful. It would be more than 3 friends who would sort of get that word of mouth. But yeah, that would be really helpful for us.
And that's all we really need to say. So yeah, if you could help support the podcast by sharing it with your friends, that would be amazing, and we love you.
Yeah. Back to those super awesome people talking about that super awesome thing.
Love the chat about that thing.
It's actually a perfect segue into our second problem, which is all about how do you /should you separate art from artist?
Ooh, spicy. Yeah, cool.
I've been excited to talk about this one. I want to preface this by saying this has come up a few times on social media this week, and it felt like to me, and the reason I wanted to talk about this, felt like to me the cultural argument had been won, and I didn't want this discussion to be over. Like the way that people were talking about it. Yeah.
I'd firstly just like to start by saying I'm going to try and avoid naming any
case studies
artist here. There are many case studies, but
I think it's worthwhile.
I don't want to start anything. But basically, I think a typical fence sitting response is I think it depends on, it's like a case by case basis. It depends on which artist is in question and what their art is. But honestly, my overarching feeling towards it is that we, people must be held accountable for terrible actions, obviously, and then B, the side of it that I want to throw an angle on, the current stuff around J.K. Rowling's trans rights views.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know that you two are as big of a Harry Potter fan as I am. It's it's really, really difficult to kind of be like, okay, I don't agree with her views, everyone's, cancel J.K. Rowling. Oh, she's transphobic. But it's I think Dan Radcliffe summarized it perfectly. He came out with a statement. He was saying if these books have touched you in a way, or shaped your childhood, that is sacred, and I don't want her views to take that away from you. And I think that's really cool, because a lot of people were so heartbroken about, oh no, I have to cancel Harry Potter now. And it's well, no, it's not about that. But but then on the, devil's advocate, do you then go, well, if that piece of art was created from someone who believes something that you genuinely disagree with, it's well, then if you're engaging with their art, are you indirectly, supporting their view in a way? It's a tough one, but I don't know the word for word way that Dan Radcliffe put it out.
I really like that. I wonder if we can post it or something, because I did read that and it was very positive. Yeah. What I want to focus on is the responsibility here, because it seems like a lot of people seem to think the responsibility comes down to the audience or the viewer or listener of the piece of art. And again, it's with the Harry Potter argument, it's I got so much out of this song or this piece of art 10 years ago, and it's actually shaped who I've become. It's had a huge impact on me. I don't know that it's worth me feeling guilty about something on that side of it.
Well, I was going to say, coming back to the J.K. Rowling argument, if I'm, Harry Potter is a fundamental part of who I am as a person. Is it enough if I just went, okay, well, I'm still going to engage in Harry Potter because I love it and it's done so much for me and my growth as a human being, but maybe now I don't support any of her future works or anything. Is that enough? Or should I then be but also, yes, I completely think that J.K. Rowling's actions and like I'm so against everything that's come out recently. But I know that her books have had a lot of good. Like they have done a lot of good. I'm not defending her, but they've done a lot of good. Should we be this is also coming to cancel culture. Like, should we be canceling her, or like there's so much to it?
I never think it's I think I will step off the fence for a second and say I don't think it's ever entirely the audience's responsibility to bring justice to a cause like that. I think
agree.
that's a really bizarre thing, and I think if you relate it to any other workplace or any other industry, it just wouldn't make any sense.
Right.
It is different because of the way you consume art, but I can't think it can. I don't think you should feel guilty for listening to a song that you like.
Absolutely not. I agree. I think the responsibility is more whether it's on the audience or the artist. I think it comes down to, as you were saying, like moving forward from that, revelation of like, okay, this person has done something terrible or holds some terrible opinion. It's like moving forward, how do the artist or the audience you rectify the issue? And I think it's the responsibility, I think, should be more on the artist and how they choose to conduct themselves moving forward. So for example, J.K. Rowling now, if she was to then put out a new book tomorrow and still be, stubbornly holding her opinion, then I would choose not to buy that book. You know what I mean? Or, and then, coming back to music, obvious example here would be Sticky Fingers in Australian music, where, being blacklisted apparently by Triple J, for their run-ins with, abuse, alcoholism, the list goes on. But, it's kind of like the artist in that sense, Sticky Fingers haven't really, shown any sort of remorse or sort of like actively trying to move forward respectfully from the issue. So I feel like that's where it's, if you're a diehard Sticky Fingers fan, of which, I know many diehard Sticky Fingers fans, and it's like, I don't want if you have a special connection with their older music, then like that's between you and the music. Like that's
Yeah. I think an important part of that conversation just there is that like Triple J as a big sort of player in the music industry have taken an action to like they have sort of punished Sticky Fingers, right? Like so the responsibility aspect on being with individuals or like sort of companies, like if you want to listen to Sticky Fingers because you really connect with their music, I think that's kind of okay, because like there are major players that are affected, like are saying we don't condone these actions, and like you can personally not condone them, but you can also kind of still, I don't know. I just think it's really important to note there that there have been like big corporations who have sort of made a stance against that
responsibility and chosen to be like, hey, we're not going to play these guys in our station anymore. Which is,
and I think that's important.
And
that is really important.
I don't want to take away from people who do choose not to listen to the music anymore either. I think it's still.
I'm kind of in the field of I would probably
avoid
supporting, but that's just because I feel like I personally need to do something, and that kind of flows into that for me.
I think it's an individual response. I think I don't want to take away from that, but I also don't want people to feel guilty for enjoying music.
We're not saying either way is right or wrong. We're just sort of tossing up the different facets to this conversation, I think.
And I think 100%. It is different case by case too. I think what you said before is that right?
Like I can't just say like, yes, I believe you can separate the artist from the art. It's like, well, it depends on the context.
That kind of brings me to another question though, because it's like, did all the bandmates?
Yeah, I was thinking about this too.
Then receive the repercussions of that.
Is it on like, if you're in a band and one person does something horrible, like, is it on you to then?
It's unfair to the other guys, isn't it?
Yeah, but also it's a team. Like it really sucks.
I hear the argument like, well, they're still willing to work with an abuser, so you shouldn't support them regardless. And it's like, well, hold on a minute. If you've been in a band for 5 years and you've been, writing music, you're finally starting to break into the industry, and then all of a sudden,
it's a difficult choice to randomly replace them.
I don't know whether I can relate this to my workplace, and I'm like, I've been working here for so long, and then I find out that there's some terrible person that I work with. Is it my responsibility to quit? Like,
that's
And I don't know
really
that could
tough
very well be a
question.
false equivalence, and I want you to call me on that if it is.
Well,
but
I feel like
Yeah, no, I think that's a pretty good
the
analogy
relationship is different. Like in a band, you're all sort of on an equal playing field, right? So the responsibility there to being in a corporate workspace, I think in a corporate workspace, you sitting next to someone at a desk, it's not your responsibility, it's the company's responsibility, right? But in a band, that power dynamic is different.
The same way, it's like it's not my responsibility.
It's the label. Like, but I would say that that's different.
Within the workplace, like I feel like it should be similar. Like in my workplace, I would go to HR, right?
Right.
And then if it's serious enough, then it's legal action. You know, the cops show up. There's flashing lights outside the office building. Like with the music industry, why is it all of a sudden up to the...
It's hard.
There's so many different...
Which
but I mean, that's
further
important.
goes to show how much of a argument could go either way. It's a tough, tricky area to tiptoe around. Yeah.
I think ultimately where I land is kind of a do what you can, don't feel guilty for art you like.
It's like anything. If you for me personally, I feel better. I feel very anxious if I don't take action, and I feel better when I can. So my preference would be to take some sort of action, whether that's not listening to the artist or not. But I mean, it's the same with any sort of like climate change or whatever. Like you do what you can in your capacity. And if listening to this music really helps your mental health or whatever, like it's important to still do that. Like it's really personal.
Yeah, you nailed it. That's great. I love that. Respect. You're a good human.
Thanks. I try.
I just thought of the other side of this separating art from artist thing. And it's like, sometimes I physically, like my brain can't. Do you ever get that?
Yeah.
I recently heard a song, I looked deeper at the lyrics and I really liked this artist. And then I went, oh, damn it. I really deeply disagree with the message that is being sent here. And now I can't, and now the artist comes on and I cringe. And I used to really love this.
And that just ruined it for you.
Yeah. And so it was like, that's a case where literally just the art itself outed. I was like, oh.
Yeah. Sometimes you just can't connect to song. Yeah. I don't know. I don't have anything else to say on this.
I'm really happy we had the conversation.
Yeah.
Feel better about it.
Yeah.
I mean, we could probably talk for another 2 hours and still be at the same point of like, yeah.
You keep circling around.
It's a tough one. But in conclusion, let's just all move forward and like be nice to each other.
Yes. If people just be nice, then we wouldn't have to.
Can you add in passenger? Let her go after that.
Yeah. All right. Do you have a problem for us that you'd like us to solve?
Oh, yeah, I do actually. So coming back to the work that I do with Vandita and trying to bring music into venues, my problem is that the only difference for I've been like trying to come down to a solution for bands, right? I want bands they see cool inner city, high production little venues as like really cool place to play. And then they see your local pub as like, what a cringe, like only dad rock covers bands would play there. And I've said so I've been like, okay, if I give you, better sound and lighting, better stage, better gear, better, artist treatment, like better pay, better, a meal, what's the difference between these cool little venues and then like say a pub? So for example, Glenora RSL, one of the ones that I do these gigs for. It's like answer that it always comes down to is the atmosphere, right? There's like, the people in these pubs don't care about music. Whereas the people that come to these little cool inner city venues are there for music. My question is how do we shift the culture around non-musicians? How do we sort of promote going to gigs as this cool thing to do? So I know, Sam, I've seen you at a few gigs. You support live music. You're getting out there. You're watching local bands. It's great. That's cool. We need more people like you. How do we make going to a place and watching a band a cool thing to do? So I'm asking the non-performing musicians, what do I have to do to give you incentive to come to a gig?
That's so that's hard for me to answer because I'm already in the camp.
Yeah.
I'm already there, man. I want to go to more gigs.
If you're a listener and you have any sort of feedback for this question, please DM us, let us know.
Yeah.
I don't know that we're going to be able to help you with this. I immediately think of so two of my friends from uni, we were filming a short film for something, and that night I was going with Sam to see G Flip play. And I was like, oh my God, guys, like I'm going to a concert tonight. I haven't been in one in ages. Like I'm so excited. And they were like, what? You're going to a concert? People still do that? Like what? I don't think I've been to a concert in the last
cancel those friends.
2 years.
I'm not about cancel culture.
And I just was completely shocked because everybody else that I surround myself in my life is a music goer. I'd never met people who didn't
First of all, I'm going
participate
to
in
take
live
this
music.
opportunity to just advocate for, to the listeners.
Also, no shade to my friends from uni. You're the best. If you're listening.
No
Live
shade.
music is so much fun, especially the smaller gigs. I love the smaller, more intimate gigs.
Also because I get really anxious in crowds like that. Like I love the smaller gigs because it's much you can sit down.
And artists are so approachable. If you love the song, even if you go to a gig and you don't like the music, I go, what's the harm?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, next time.
Doesn't Josh Pyke know you on a first name basis?
I don't want to.
Like that's how good it is.
No, okay. I've been a really,
it hurts me every day. I wake up every morning and think, damn it.
No, I've been a very long time fan and I've gone to so many of his gigs to the point where, I think, he does. But I love being able to do that. And I think that more people should know that that's an option.
Yeah.
I honestly just think a lot of people have no idea that you can do that.
But it also might come down to like music taste almost, in that they just don't know, they don't follow any small sort of bands, if that makes sense. It's if you are if you're not I don't even know if you all you do is listen to your own music on Spotify, you might never come across smaller band. I don't know that I would know any smaller bands to support if it wasn't for Sam, because I just kind of listen to the same music every day for the last 5 years, and it doesn't really change, and so I don't really get I support my friend's band because I know that they exist, but it's hard to, I don't know how to insert myself more into that scene to know where to find more people. I don't know if you have an answer for that.
I feel like more people would find out about, more bands if they did, were part of the culture of going out and supporting your mates in bands and stuff.
Yeah.
And then when someone does become big, or, a Triple J name that everyone knows, it's kind of cool to be like, oh, I've watched them progress.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of an example off the top of my head, Ocean Alley. I've seen Ocean Alley probably 100 times for $10 in a 50-person venue in 2013.
That's a huge one too, because that was the number one hottest 100 name.
But then it's Lime Cordiale have been doing the same shit for literally 10 years, and obviously they've changed, but it's you see them go from they're pretty big. Oh, they're doing really well now. Oh, they put out an album. Oh my God, they're on.
You almost feel like a proud parent.
Headlining. Yeah, you feel like a proud parent, and then you feel it's you're this family of artists, and then all of a sudden one of you is doing really well, and it's hell yeah, you go guys. But then man, it's frustrating that everyone's oh, I love this band. Oh, they're so cool. And it's there are so many bands exactly like that playing 5 minutes away from your house for free on a Friday night, and you're not going. It's But then again, it comes down to what my question is, is it just the fact that you don't know it's on it, you don't know what's happening, or it's
I honestly I want to give people the benefit of the doubt. I think they honestly just don't know.
But so if someone listening to this doesn't know how to even find places to see bands, what would you recommend to get yourself into that?
The first step is you need to go and follow Vandita on Instagram. And then
yes, you love it.
And just basically, because that's what I'm trying to do is promote these smaller local artists that are playing, that do deserve your attention. You know what I mean? It's kind of I'm searching for ways to break down the barriers of getting to them. Is the gig too expensive? Is the gig too loud? How can I make it easier for people to go and see these bands? The Vinyl Press, for example, whose music was in your intro thing.
Love them.
You could see them at Hornsby Inn for free. It's great, and they're a great band. And then one day, they could be massive, and you'd pay $100 to go and see them at the Enmore, and then you could be like, I saw those guys. At a pub in Dural. It was great. I
think it comes down to take your friend, like go with a friend,
Yeah.
like, take the first step, go to a pub with some live music, and you're going to have a good time.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you're at a pub. So I don't know.
There's drinks.
If you're not having a good time, I think that might be on you. But
Yeah.
There's something wrong with you. Yeah.
Recommendations.
yeah,
And this week we're going to be doing exclusively music recommendations because music.
Music Week.
You can do as many. I'm going to give you a cap of 5, by the way.
A cap of 5.
I was about to say you can do
Okay.
as many as you want, and then I was like, ooh, that might be very long. You've got 5.
Yeah, no, because I actually want to recommend an artist that I am not involved with. They're a band from Victoria. Their name is the Kite Machine.
Nice.
And they are the Kite Machine. And they are, honestly, the most mind-blowing live experience I have ever experienced. They're just a 3-piece rock band, guitar, bass, drums, nothing out of the ordinary. They're
So
just,
what makes them like next level?
what makes them next level is the like they are musically very tight, possibly the tightest. But it's
Right.
the energy and the sort of almost the cheeky, like the audacity to play the things that they play. Like it's tight, heavy, funky. It's kind of like Rage Against the Machine, but not political. It's cool. Like it's just very like you watch it and you're like, wow, you just did that. Like you really just did that. It's like just
I'm
phenomenally
100% going to be
stupid.
listening to that.
Yeah.
No, very, very cool band. Who obviously haven't seen live in a long time because Victoria just shut the hell down, and COVID's a thing. But no, incredible band. Whose music I've been listening to. They put out an album last year. I've been listening to it like literally every day, just for inspiration, for like riffs and stuff. Like it's simple music, but it's just good. Gets me going.
That's the best for me. I love that. Anything that's simple but just can create that, like it's like a visceral response. You just like, how did they do that?
Do you remember the first time you heard like Jet or like
Oh my
you know what
god,
I mean?
yeah.
Or like the first time you heard like, I don't know, The Middle by Jimmy Eat World or something, and you're just like, that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I can't wait to listen to that. My recommendation is Josh Pyke's new album just dropped. And if you know that was coming, then I, of course, have to recommend that. He's obviously, like, that's one of the artists for me that has shaped my life.
Yeah.
Cool.
I could, like, any experience I've had, I could name a Josh Pyke song for. So, his new album is no exception. It's wonderful. Yeah. I recommend it. It's called Rome.
Very nice. And don't mean to put a downer on that, but hypothetically, if he turned out to be an abusive man, would you continue to enjoy his music? That's something you can ponder for the next.
That's true. That would honestly be really difficult for me to handle because I think regardless, his music has had such an impact on me. I wouldn't be able to separate it from some experiences and that I've had. So that's a really cool question to ask, and I hate it. Thank you.
Sorry to throw that back at you. Sorry to dump that on you there, but yeah.
No.
I'm going to stick with the Australian theme and give a shout out to Ballpark Music's new song Cherub because I love it.
Oh my God, I love it so much.
It's just the perfect vibe. It's just the perfect vibe.
They have like really like sort of lent into the like being wholesome is like their branding. Like
I'm kind of mad that they changed their name. I was so excited for the album, like Mostly Sunny. That's like the perfect. It's just so good.
No, but
I liked that.
In the same respect, having a self-titled album, they 100% deserve that. Like, this is them.
And they're
I just really connected with Mostly Sunny.
They're so proud of it that they're like, this is us. Like this is Ballpark Music, and that means so much to me. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, it's also perfectly like exactly how you are. From their last album is my favorite song of all time. Like, and it just like it's that whole vibe. It's really, I just love it. It's so wholesome. Makes me happy. No. I'm also going to give a quick little shout out to the Vinyl Press as well.
Of course.
Who support us. It's their music that we listen to every week as our intro. We went to high school together. So go and support them, give them a follow and look out for when they play live gigs and then go to them.
This is my favorite part too, because you can tell we're all just a bunch of music nerds. Because I have like 10 different things I want to say all at once, like when we're talking about this stuff. So this is my favorite thing. So glad to have had you on the podcast, Robbie.
Yes,
it's been
thank you so much.
So stoked to be here. Thanks for
you have
thanks for the
such a
chat.
great insight into this whole industry. I really appreciated it.
Oh, thank you. Glad to have someone willing to listen to me talk about music. All my friends are like, "Can you shut up about music for 2 seconds?" I'm like, "No, I can't."
Well, also just before we end the podcast, you have an opportunity now to plug everything that you're involved in. Anything else you want to plug, whatever you want. The stage is yours.
I'll cap it to a handful, but so Vandita is my main thing. Follow that on Instagram. My main creative output at the moment is a band called Locked In Lummo. Bit of a long name. That's indie rock sort of stuff, influenced by like Kings of Leon, Gang of Youths, like Bruce Springsteen kind of vibes. And then I've got my comedy food themed punk band called Cookbook Book Club. Yeah, it was going to be.
I can vouch for that. I've seen that live. It was a magical experience.
Thank you kindly. You're really selling it. It's a bit of a joke band, but it's good fun. It's good. No, but it's a good outlet.
It was so much fun to watch and to listen to.
Thank you. Also involved in a folk rock / Americana / indie folky thing called Hatchling.
Good name for that style.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. That's going to be you're going to hear a lot more about that very soon. Okay. Also, I play bass for Joel Jackson, who's a singer-songwriter who's working on some new stuff that's going to get very alt rock vibes, and very, very excited for that stuff to come out soon. I'll give you all the handles for all this stuff on Instagram.
These will all be in our show notes. Definitely look there and follow everybody on all the social medias.
Cool.
Thanks again, Robbie. This has been
so much.
Amazing.
Absolute pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Wow, can't believe we just solved the music industry.
Wow, that was such a casual conversation about big problems.
So if you enjoyed the podcast this week, please subscribe, leave a really good review.
Follow us on Instagram, screenshot where you're listening and post it on your social media, or tell 3 friends. That also helps. And you can also support us on Patreon.
Absolutely. And the music, this is by The Vinyl Press.
Go give them a follow. Also check out all of Robbie's links in the show notes below and go support him as well.
And send us your problems. Thanks for listening.